Hi guys, how are you doing? This is your host of Hear Our Voices. Welcome back to the podcast. What we do in this podcast is tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. And I want to give you some things, some housekeeping things that we have going on. We have a lot of social media, and we would like that you join our family on there because we do updates all the time about different other subjects, work, things like that. And if you have any questions, you definitely can come back to us on the DMs on like Instagram or Twitter, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And enjoy this next part of the podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for being amazing. Bye.
The housing instability was constant because of not being able to stay gainfully employed,
Right.
because of not having financial support. Like, even to this day, his child support is $99 a week,
That's nothing.
and that was ordered 2018.
Wow.
So since then, we've had a pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
inflation.
Mm-hmm.
She's older now. It's a whole different set of expenses when they're older. Because the least of it is wanting to go to the movies with her friends.
Right.
And sometimes, like, if they're hanging out after school and they're gonna go to the donut shop, you gotta make sure she has another extra $10 or something. You know what I mean?
Especially with Starbucks, forget about it. One drink is like $7, $8.
One drink is $10. Like, it's $10. Right. It's closer to 10 than it is to 5. It's like we learn about rounding up. It's like so it's all these things that the abuser's actions create, that instability for you as a survivor. So people like New Destiny Housing, they come into play. As I said, I didn't know about New Destiny when I was separated from my ex. I didn't know anything about the advocacy efforts that so many different organizations do until 2016, when he took my daughter from my cousin and went to the precinct and told him she was alone and tried to have me arrested for unsupervised guardianship.
Wow. Wow.
This happened on a Monday. On the Tuesday, I pick her up from school because we had a weird little visitation schedule where he would have her every Wednesday or every other Monday, but that Monday wasn't his Monday.
Right.
So he showed up, took her. My cousin brought her out. He wasn't going to argue with him. Like, he came for his kid, right. Gave him to her. We had court that Friday. The goal was that I would be arrested and I wouldn't show up for court. Wednesday, I get a call. Oh, you need to come to the precinct. I said, what? I'm not coming anywhere. I said, you want me, you come and get me. You're at 82 Decatur. I'm like, no. Oh, so it's the wrong address. So he even gave them the wrong address.
Oh, wow.
So it was a whole wrong, different precinct. The Thursday evening, I contact my lawyer. She said, just wait it out, see if they contact you. I contact the precinct on Thursday. I'm like, oh, I'd like to file a statement. Right. My ex took my daughter when it was not his visitation time. And, as a Black woman, I walk in precinct in Bed-Stuy. There's an Asian cop, there's a white cop. Immediately, do you even know what you want to file? And I'm like, my daughter was taken from my home.
Right.
It was not my ex's visitation time. I would like to file a report. I was told by my attorney to make, at the very least, I would like to make a statement.
Right.
I'm like, do you have a DV officer present? Because at this point, I knew a little bit about DV officers.
Right.
So the DV officer comes out and she's like, yes, that is a misdemeanor.
Right.
It's custodial interference. She asked for me, so you should have just sent her to me.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Right.
We're taking these things seriously now.
Yes.
And I was like, yo, I got a call the next couple of days. It was from an assistant DA.
Mm-hmm.
They automatically issued an order of protection. Because
Good.
why are you at my house and it's not your visitation time? You're a stalker.
Right.
But his movements weren't ever documented like this.
Right.
Like it was just me telling my attorney what was going on, she not being able to bring these things up in court because I'm
Right.
refuting abuse claims,
Right.
right? So basically that's how I got connected to the Family Justice Center. That's the first time I started DV therapy.
Mm.
That's the first time I knew I could qualify for a therapist.
Right.
So just but I was working, so it wasn't very sustaining until like 2020 when lockdown happened. I entered DV therapy. Then I
Right.
had my therapist. I had a mom support group. Listen, what
Oh,
you
that's
have
nice.
here is intense work. I
Right.
did the work.
Right.
And I learned about different organizations. Like my first DV therapy group was through Help Roads, and they were inside the Family Justice Center. I didn't know
Right.
you had these different organizations within the Family Justice Centers.
Right.
I didn't know about Sanctuary for Families or any of these different, people. But the long and short of it is because of my relationship with these different organizations, I was able to secure the emergency housing voucher when my housing instability got to the point where it's crazy. You're gonna be on the streets.
Right.
So my case manager I switched from Brooklyn FJC when I moved, and my case manager was in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
When my landlord, this is post COVID, I was in that apartment for about 5 years from 2017, but it was $2,500 a month.
Mm. That's a
And
lot.
yeah, I couldn't afford it. Like I could afford it and I couldn't. Because like my daughter, I was working at a charter school. I was at work 7 o'clock in the morning. My daughter was on a bus. The bus alone was $100 a week. That was a child support.
Mm.
That was
Right.
more than a child support.
It was exactly.
One bill. And then the rent is $2,500.
Mm.
So, when I stopped working and I lost, COVID hit and like I racked up rent. I did get the ERAP.
Right.
That was processed for me through the Family Justice Center as well. But my landlord filed a holdover in court,
Mm.
so I was still evicted.
Got
I didn't fight it because his family had expanded. His wife, brought her mom and her little brother, and they had a baby. So, it would have bought me a few months if I had stayed in the apartment, but
it.
by that time, I had already been granted the voucher. So I didn't know how long it would have taken to get an apartment. I got a voucher May 2022.
Right.
Um, May 2022, my custody case was settled.
Mm.
April 2022, the eviction was ordered. And July 2022, we were out.
That's a long time still. May, June, July. It's faster than most, to be honest. But that's
Yeah,
still like.
no, we were out of the apartment. But as you said, getting the voucher, the EHV was faster than most as far as I've heard.
Yes.
Because I didn't qualify for like city FEPS or anything like
Yeah.
that. And I wasn't in a DV shelter because I wasn't in active crisis.
Right.
Like I wasn't fleeing a DV situation, so I didn't qualify for the DV shelters. And let's just face it, I was scared of those DHS ones. Like I was so
Mm.
afraid of taking my daughter into the DHS shelter. And I
Right.
remember my experience from the years before. The first time I went with her, oh, it's an ACS case, and like I know it's not, but it's
Right.
still not wasn't ideal. And I,
Right.
so I made a GoFundMe, friends from college, from high school. Like I was in hotels,
Mm.
Airbnb. I stayed with friends. But the first couple of weeks were cool. I got placed in a building. Like I don't
Right.
even and then when I went to give him my paperwork, I was told, oh, they're going in a different direction.
Oh,
This was
wow.
August 5th, and then I broke my foot August 12th.
My daughter's birthday. Wow.
Then it was like, oh my God. Like God put me to sit down and force me to rely on my community at that point.
Right.
And when I meant like the same aunt that I, by this time I had started talking back to her, but like she wasn't very supportive. And then, knowing what I know now about myself and, people's like, I try not to judge, because if she's not in a place where she can support me, like I can't
Be
hate
upset
her
about
for
that.
that or blame
Right.
her for that, or, so I've accepted it. And, and sometimes you have to accept your own role in people's lives
Right.
too. So, I asked her about staying with her. Like she knew I broke my foot. I went over there August 19th. I stayed with her. I did surgery August 29th because I had to do surgery to repair the break. I have 5 pieces of metal in my foot right now. So there I was, and then school started September. So we were staying with my aunt in Springfield Gardens. My daughter's in a gifted and talented school in Brooklyn. Like $45 a pop in the cab to take her over there. My son was helping out a little bit, but then he was working too, and he was staying with friends. So we were just separated. And during this whole time, my housing navigator and New Destiny was looking for places, but like a lot of landlords were not too keen about taking the voucher, but it's like it's guaranteed money.
Right.
But at the same time, there's this myth that, your vouchers, people with vouchers, they bring crime or they're gonna break your house apart. But I also didn't know that homeowners insurance go up when you let the insurance company know that your tenant is a voucher holder.
Well, I didn't know that either, actually. That's something I learned right now.
I learned that at the Housing Narrative Lab.
I didn't really, I wasn't
At
listening.
my
That's not
table.
good.
Nah, but at my table. Because
Oh, at your table. Okay.
because
Okay.
it's people from different organizations,
Yes.
like, and I didn't know that. And it's just so funny the ways in which they fight against voucher holders, but it's just so wrong, right? And housing for like survivors needs to be connected with supportive services as well. For me, I got paired with a housing, not with a coordinator, aftercare coordinator,
Right.
like somebody that I could reach out to if I had issues with HRA, and because HRA is another thing. Like I had to go on welfare when I broke my foot on PA, and I had my stuff in storage, and like I was hobbling to the center just to bring in my store. Every month I had to bring in the same storage bill.
Yes, it's so annoying, that process. I just don't understand it. I didn't take it out. Just pay the money. You know how much it is. It's annoying. I know.
I broke
I
my
just
foot.
right.
And it's like, but I feel like God, I finally belong in every room that God has opened the doors for me to enter. Like I've said that before, and I say it again, and each time, because I had to go through those experiences to be able to advocate for survivors about streamlining that process. Just spreading awareness about the double trauma of homelessness and DV, and how they both feed each other and how they both impact the lives of survivors. Like you leave and you're not able to work, you're not able to achieve economic security, and it's like, what does that mean for the American dream for survivors? What does that mean for us if you're not housed where you could be a responsive parent, where you could prepare your meals, where you could like, it's only through the grace of God I did it. and my community, you know, and doing my own work too, because a lot of it was pushing past the trauma and still uploading the paperwork and going on Section 8 website and putting in the paperwork 3 times because I got an email saying it wasn't uploaded.
Right.
It's so much that goes into it, but the EHV is a really good program. I'm sorry it ended, the application, but we're advocating for more programs like that, like the housing access voucher for all, that one.
Yes.
Regardless of immigration status, you could,
Right.
you know, regardless of, you know, what you're making. But let's face it, like in New York, it's expensive. Like
It is.
my apartment, I took it because we needed somewhere to go, but it was a 1-bedroom. My voucher is for a 2-bedroom. I didn't plan on renewing my lease, and I wasn't going to, but then my landlord raised my rent to market rate, $31.09 for a 1-bedroom.
What?
The
Oh
new
my
lease
gosh.
here said 31.09.
Oh my
And these are
God.
the things I'm talking about. Like, how am I supposed to pay for that? How would I pay for that if I didn't have a voucher helping me? Because the voucher pays 70% and I pay 30%. Now that I've returned to work, my 30% is going to go up.
Right.
But I'm still grateful because
Right.
that's still support I never had prior to my eviction.
Right.
I had to be evicted to get that voucher.
Right.
I had to break my foot to get a little bit of public assistance and storage assistance, you know? And it's like, but that's why I'm able to kind of educate people and other survivors about some of the resources that we're working on and advocate for more housing for survivors and their families. And you know, all most of us want to do is get back to work, you know. I'm
Thank you for coming back to the end of Hear Our Voices. Tune in for next week for the last part of Stephanie's story. And please go check us out on social media because that's where we're all the time. We're on the TikTok. We on the Instagram. We on the YouTube. Those things help us grow our community so we'll be able to help you better. Thank you and bye.